Hey, and welcome to Discard. Today I'm going to answer a few different questions and comments that were left for me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Let's take a look. So the first question is, where do you get your games? And to answer that question, there's a whole bunch of different locations. I go to any place that sells games. I have a retro store that's somewhat nearby, and I will go there and take a look through those games. They're generally pretty high price compared to other places, but if I'm looking for a specific title or if I want a really nice in-box item, then I'll go there and I'll find that one game and get it from that location. I do like to go to thrift stores and kind of try my luck there. I don't have that good of luck when I go to Goodwills and Salvation Armies. Second and Charles is a company that sells used books and games, and I do have pretty good luck in that location, but you do have to be careful at that location because you can get ripped off with a fake or something like that because people don't really know what they're looking at when they're selling items there. But the big one and the biggest place that I've gotten a lot of games from was eBay. And I go to eBay and I change the settings in it so I get newly listed items, and I'll just do Nintendo newly listed, and I'll spend 10 minutes a day just taking a look at seeing what is happening right now, what is being posted at this very moment, because that's what resellers do. They'll sit there on that menu and they'll just wait for that really good item to pop up that they know is underpriced, and they'll buy it now and it's good to go, and they resell that thing for a crazy price, and we all have to pay the bill for that. So I like to be there to catch it before they get to it. Especially if I'm looking for a specific item, I like to keep my eye there, and if I see that game pop up in that location, I will grab it and I'll have it at a really good price. But you do have to be watching that buy it now right away thing, because auctions and other buy it now things, they've all been picked over, they've all been looked at by these resellers. So generally speaking, you got to get it when it pops up on eBay, but I found some really amazing deals by going that way. What do you do with the contents of your special editions? Do you keep them in box or take everything out to display? Well, what I like to do is kind of like a 50-50 split. Some of the things in the box I like to take out, like figures, they are for displaying. If you keep them in the box, to me, it seems like kind of a waste. They're cool figures to take a look at. I like looking at my collection. That's why I have a collection. And get those figures out and displayed out there. I also like to take out the music CDs because I do listen to them in the car, I do listen to them in my house, and I do really enjoy having a physical copy of the soundtrack of whatever game it is, especially if it's a really good game. There's other things like art books. Art books, a lot of people do take them out and they put them on their shelf, and they'll be able to pull those out anytime. I think that I take them out for about that first week that I get that special edition. I take a look through them, thumb through them, and then I'll put them back in the box before I officially close that box back up, and I will put them away. If I ever go back and replay that game again and I'm getting that nostalgia back up, I will take that book back out and thumb through it again and enjoy it that way. But that's generally how I look at special editions. If it's a bad game, if I ended up getting a bad game that's at a special edition, I'll just leave everything inside the box and it just pops into the into the collection, and that's it. A couple questions came in about dust, and if I have dust in my collection, how do I clean it up? Well, generally speaking, I have a lot less dust than some people do because this room that I do have my collection in has a door to it, and I just keep it shut off from the rest of the house. So the majority of movement that goes on in here is me putting games on the shelf or coming in to pick a game or something like that. I even have a couple dogs and they shed all the time. So I know this collection would get way dustier if I left the door open or if I just had it open to the house. If I need to clean up dust, I use dust off on very specific items. If it has a bunch of nooks and crannies that I can't get into with, let's say, a cloth, then I will use dust off and I'll spray it out of there and really vacuum and clean up around the item. But using a cloth is a really good idea. A microfiber cloth works really good for flat surfaces, and whether you want to use it wet or dry, that's really going to depend on what you're wiping down. If you have a label on there, you probably don't want to get that label wet, and maybe just using a dry cloth to kind of wipe away some of the light dust that's on there is a good idea. And you certainly don't want to let dust accumulate for such a long period of time that it becomes a layer of kind of greasy dust on there, because that makes it a lot harder to kind of get rid of and a lot harder for you to not damage the item that it's on. When I put figures on display, they get faded and white parts become yellowish. How do you avoid that? Well, that's kind of one of the big problems of games, and I've seen a lot of Super Nintendo consoles out there that are yellowed, and a lot of it comes from time and sunlight hitting the thing over a long period of time. If you put a lot of things on your windowsill, just be ready for them to become yellowed and lose their color and fade. I do have natural light in my room. It does worry me a little bit that could fade some of my items over time, but for the most part it's a lot of indirect light. I don't have sunlight going directly onto the majority of my collection, and that's the way I like to do it, and that will limit the amount of time that it takes for something to become faded. Also, keeping things pushed into your shelf is really important. Having it in the back of the shelf versus the very front where it could get more sunlight is kind of a good idea as well. But generally speaking, it's that light, it's time itself. Those plastics and those colors on those labels, they're gonna fade if you get a lot of sunlight on them. Any plans to do a tour of everything in your collection? Well, yeah, I have a plan to do a tour of my collection at some point in time, but I kind of want to take my time coming up with how I'm going to do that. I've seen a lot of videos of people just going through and touring their collections, and I kind of want to break it up and make it an interesting type of video. Also, my collection is not as big as some of these people's out there. It's bigger than the standard gamer's collection, but it's not this massive, huge collection like some of these guys. They have their entire house dedicated to games, and I'm just, I'm not at that point. So it wouldn't be as long of a video, and I'd want to break it up into really interesting cuts and do some interesting editing and ideas just to make it a really cool experience. So that will be coming, just hang on for that one. What is the most treasured item in your collection? Well, there's a whole bunch of items in here that I do treasure, and the collection as a whole is what I like to say typically is my favorite part of the collection. Is just the collection itself, because I enjoy collecting. I enjoy the games in the collection, and some of the individual items have cool stories behind them, and interesting things that led to me owning the item. But if I were to pick one game in the collection that is treasured by me, and that would be Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time in box. And that game to me means so much more than any other game in this collection. It's the starting point of me really enjoying games. It's the very first game that just really got me hooked. This open world style, this feeling like I was actually part of this game. I could go and do anything in this game. And looking back at it, it is more linear than some of the games that we have today, like Breath of the Wild or something like that. But it really drew me into it. I really enjoyed that game. And when I originally had the game, I didn't care about the cartridge. I think it got messed up. I think the box was the first thing to go. It probably got torn off and thrown in the trash can. And the copy that I have today is actually my wife's copy from when she was younger. And I just really enjoy this game. So overall, the other things in this collection, I would probably grab Zelda Ocarina of Time if I was running out the door. One of the comments on one of my videos was, I would love to see a series devoted to upcoming special editions, limited releases, etc. that you're personally watching out for. And I think that's a great idea. I would love to make a video, once in a while that kind of outlines what I'm personally planning on putting into my collection in the future, and especially special editions. Like right now I'm out there and I'm looking at Ni no Kuni 2 Special Edition as a really nice special edition. I think that game's going to do great, and I think that special edition is going to be one fantastic thing. But I would like to make videos in the future, and we'll see if I am able to pull that off. What made you decide to create your channel? Why now? What are your long-term goals / plans for it? And that came from Jeff Tarzia over at Smash JT. It's a bigger YouTube channel where he outlines a whole bunch of different things. He has reviews, he's got lists, he's got current events, and even dives deeper into some of these games out there to really talk about it and get down in the nitty-gritty. So definitely check him out. But to answer that question is, what made me decide to do this now is I'm a retired veteran. I was in the Army for some time, and now I'm a stay-at-home dad. And it's a lot of work being a stay-at-home dad and watching an 8-month-old now. I just wanted a project that I could put some time into and just be really proud of making a product. And video games have always been something that I'm passionate about, and displaying in my collection is something that I'm passionate about. So it's a really good opportunity for me to kind of give that to other people, and for other people to kind of find their inspiration maybe in some of these videos or get something out of it. So that's, you know, kind of why I decided to do it now. It's kind of a project that I needed to be doing. I plan to make this a bigger channel in the future, maybe do 2 videos a week, maybe 3 videos a week. As more time gets freed up, I would love to do that and really grow this channel and make it a more sustainable thing. If you do have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you within 24 hours or so. I will accrue more questions over time and probably make another video like this in the future. So just, you know, plan on that happening. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. But otherwise, have a great day and collect what you love.